video games are emergent art form and an ultimate art form. And there is a place and purpose for every kind of artist. Saum is a movement of artists, writers, entrepreneurs, socialists, philosophers, programmers, anything. So we are working together to create great art and better tomorrow. We come from the absolute periphery. It's an 8 mile of video game development, Estonia. Then you tell in America that you're from Estonia, is it a company? So art is our most valuable weapon. It's impossible to overstate the importance of the striking and good visual style. The internet is awash with the spectacular images of the video games, and for the barbarians to succeed against Romans, it's not enough to be spectacular, we have to be something more. But we have a huge arsenal of art at our disposal. Our really talented artists can draw any weapon that was developed in 20th century, and late 19th century, starting from realist Repin style or Cubofuturism, suprematism, we can use anything. And to give you a glimpse of it, here's our lead concept artist, Kaspar Tamsalu, aka Kaspar.
Hello. Up here, actually, we have a PDF with pictures, and somebody has to click it while I talk. Great.
We need really something Stalinist here. Gulagify this guy.
Anyway, I'm going to talk about different things, but what you see up here is development of one of the areas aptly called the fishing village. And if you click, yeah, you do the clicking. Did you break it? Okay. I expected like 10 people. The voice doesn't crack. So Gregory talked about approaching the game from the perspective of television series. Our writers approach it from the novelist perspective, and our artists approach it as painters. Some of you know that our game, which kind of looks like this, it's a isometric role-playing game. Not unlike a diorama with an infinite canvas. So, unlike fully three-dimensional or fully two-dimensional video games, the No Truce with the game world is a combination of painted, pre-rendered backgrounds and real-time 3D elements and effects. And aside from a few bells and whistles, like dynamic lighting, it's not really that special. But how we stand out is our hunger as artists, our attention to detail and level of craft. No Truce's world is both figuratively and literally an infinite canvas. After the scenes are rendered, after all these clicking, if it works, we add dynamic lighting that reacts to light sources and the time of day. The characters get painted normal maps that help them blend in with the art you see in the backgrounds. And in those scenes, be that an interior or a street corner, 99% of the assets are unique. I call it a diorama because instead of a big sprawling multi-dungeon world, No Truce with the Fury sports a smaller, intricately crafted world meant to support the story. And story is everything. All of this becomes possible because of the people on our team. The key word is versatility. None of us comes from a background of game development. Our lead artist, art director, Alexander Rostov, sitting in the middle there, and myself, we're both painters. Our heavyweight 3D artist majored in history. Okay. all of this becomes possible because of the people on our team. And all of us, we bring our specialist knowledge and skills to No Truce with the Furies, and yet the project demands talented generalists. With new skills comes a special kind of understanding that makes the work seamless. Like, all my life I've been worked strictly in two-dimensional art, and 3D was completely alien to me. Within the past 2 years, in the best art school possible, which is Zaum Studio, I basically sculpt, model, texture, everything in a breeze. Our team works. On a day-to-day basis, we're not a rigidly structured bureaucracy. We're like water, where the coders are oxygen and writers and artists are hydrogen. Team hydrogen burns, and team oxygen allows us to burn hot. Thank you.
Thank you. So, we had some kind of presentation over there. Maybe you saw. The world looks a little bit different what you've seen before, and the intellectual property behind No Truce with the Furies is called illusion. It's a world's first modernist world-building project. Others do medieval or futuristic. We have a modern world. It's taken 2 decades of world-building by Zaum. And think of No Truce with the Furies as a pilot episode of what will come to next. To give you an idea of the scope of our world building, there are 8 continents, 16 nation states, over 200 cities, all fleshed out to the level of districts and streets. With 4,000 years of history, over 1,000 named characters, we have 7 major role-playing games worth of storylines. Each of separate game with its own genre, like cop show, war story, biographic novel, apocalyptic thriller, anything. The stories from form an intergenre epic, sharing characters and themes. And Argo, Tuulik, one of our senior writers, he is from the core team of Zaum. They've been playing this illusion, this world. They've been world building it for 20 years, playing it AD&D style with pen and paper. So Argo is here to tell something about it.
Hi, my name is Argo, and I'm an alcoholic. But I'm also one of the writers for No Truce with the Furies. I started learning the English language back in 1995 in the prestigious Pelgulinna Gymnasium in the 3rd grade. And to be honest, it wasn't going good. It wasn't going good at all, and basically I was destined to become one of the most scariest and saddest things in the world, a writer who only writes in Estonian. But luckily, in 2 years, Interplay published first of the Fallout games from the now ruined Fallout franchise. And that sort of turned things around for me, because in order to enjoy all the content, subtle nuances of the game, I had to master the language. I was 11 back then. Now I'm 32, and by rough estimate, I have finished the first 2 Fallout games like 30 times, probably even 40. In comparison, I've read The Three Musketeers at least 20 times, Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, I think another 15 times. Readability is the measure of good literature, my writer friend once told me. And we have built our game on replayability and reactivity. As none of you here are going to be exactly the same person when you wake up tomorrow morning, in the same way, you're never going to be exactly the same burned out cop when you play No Truce with the Furies, when you start No Truce with the Furies up again. In No Truce, there are no right or wrong choices. You will not get penalized for playing your character in a certain way. There's no perfect build or like preferred build for you to play. For example, min-maxing doesn't work in the usual sense because pumping a stat to stellar highs also has its cons next to its pros. A good example of that is electrochemistry. Electrochemistry is one of the 24 skills in No Truce with the Furies. It gives you an enhanced effect from substance consumption, but also leads to self-destructive behavior, which can be noted in dialogues. But our design ethos has always been to give the same amount of content to player, whichever way you choose to play the game. We encourage you to experiment, no matter what, because no matter what, you will be rewarded, and I dare say it with juicy content. I say it with relative confidence because, in my knowledge, never before has a video game been approached with such literary ambition. For starters, our game universe is based on the works of acclaimed author Robert Kurvits, whose book Püha ja õudne lõhn you should buy immediately if you haven't done so already. Robert is also our lead designer. He leads the writers department, and of course he himself is writing for us. It's sort of like the first quill of the fleet. But rest assured, all the rest of us in the writing department we all have literature flowing through our veins, and from Marquis de Sade to Astrid Lindgren, yeah, we got you covered for that. But one of the creative tools we have learned to use over time is, let's say, power of many, or power of the people, or if you want to be a boring cop, you can just call it the writer's room. Basically, it's a way of writing collectively, because as different writers, we all have our distinct different writing styles. But we need our our main character to not switch personalities when shifting from one dialogue to another, and also to have all the subtle nuances of his flawed character present in all of those interactions. So basically, what we do is when we're coming up with a new character or a scene, we all come together and lay out the rough outlines of the characters, some defining attributes he or she might have, and the character relevance to the main story arcs. Then one of us takes the ball and runs with it. Twice a week we get together, play through each other's written dialogues, and do some editing work. This is where we play out the theoretical possible different scenarios a particular dialogue can take. Sync different characters to each other, deal with sequencing issues, and the rhythm effect that follows. And also unify the writing styles, and basically just laugh at each other's jokes. And okay, first of all, let me say it is an awesomely evolving experience to write like that, because like before that, many of us, the only critique many of us knew was when our friends or our moms said things like, "Shit, man, that was good," or "Son, you did a really good job." But like compared to that, to have a fellow writer tell you about a dialogue you just spent a week writing that, nah, I'm not feeling it. It's not really up to the standard. It's a bit lifeless and derivative. It's devastating, super devastating, especially if maybe while writing it you yourself thought it's cutting edge, funny even. You threw in some good thigh slapping material for the laughs, and we basically laughed out loud while writing it. It has happened to me on numerous occasions. But then again, when you finally do earn the praise of your peers, then it's worth all the more, because you know that it has been tested, and it has the quality stamp of so many people, not just yours. The feeling there is that that something great has materialized, and you have been the medium for that. So yeah, this group writing thing, it is awesome. Sometimes when the creative energy really takes off, and people are screaming and the ideas are flying around, it no longer feels like we're making a video game, but rewriting reality itself. And yes, we are very, very humble people. But yes, this writers' room have pretty much molded us into this single creative organism. It's a weird sensation in some way, because like the mistakes of others are become as painful as your own, and you sort of lose all notion of intellectual property or intellectual ownership. You don't, no longer there is like, this is my character or my dialogue or my sexy thought cabinet project. There's no I in writer's room. Actually, like Kaur here recently found out an endearing analogy with the icon crafting of the Middle Ages, where the author of the icon, well, basically no one gave two shits about who the author of the icon was, because it didn't matter. What mattered was the icon itself, what it represented, and the glory of God. I sort of feel this is the case with us. We want to make something that's greater than the sum of our parts, for the glory of the people, for the glory of literature. Many as one as many, to casually reference Planescape Torment. But that sort of moral selflessness sets some pretty rigid standards to, let's say, potential new hires, for example. And yes, we are currently looking for 2 new writers in our team. But to be part of this unit, it's in a way that it's going to complement the synergy. You really need to want to write. Like you need to have this deeper yearning to write, to create. You can't do it for money or for the fame. You sort of need to have this fire, if I might use that cliche. Basically, you pretty much must be ready to move to Siberia and work for no money and sprout sandwiches out of someone's mom's basement to finish the game, if that's where it comes to. Because like this is the level of idealism we are reaching for here. And okay, this is like I guess I'm going to take this moment to wave to my mom. Hey mom, I'm in TV. Hopefully in TV. And then the girl in 9th grade whom I asked out, and she said no. I'm not angry with you. I'm just disappointed. Thank you. Thank you.
So to wrap it up, No Truce with the Furies features a toolbox of explicit political beliefs that allows the player to bear outside their echo chamber. Instead of old school RPG alignment like where you have neutral, evil, chaotic, good, paragon, renegade, we have real political beliefs such as fascist, socialist, liberal. What we found out is people tend to play their worst nightmares. So radical feminists play the fascist and socialists play whoever, liberals. We hope that that writes interesting conversations. So yes, we really believe that at the age of atomization of societies and crazy ass intersectionality, there is actually a class consciousness rising again in the most improbable place amongst the gamers. I'd really like that, venue be like when I'm up and you're all down and I'm doing really my best Stalinist impression. So that's why we call it Gamers International. We are talking about hundreds of millions of smart, curious, and energetic people. And as a great books and works of art have brought about realization that something completely different is possible, so we believe that video games have the power to do the same. So we want No Truce with the Furies to be the game that gives you strength to carry on. And victory in our lifetime, says Saum Banner. And anything is possible when gamers of the world unite.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely. So does anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Ladies first, thank you. So I actually have 2 questions. Question number 1, when the game is going to be released? Question number 2, why should the name No Truce with the Furies? Can you share the story behind it?
Last question, no. And the first question at the end of 2017.
Oh,
Hi.
question over here.
So
What platforms will be released?
Go ahead.
We're working right now on PC, but we want to be on all of them. We want to run inside our head also.
So a quick question to Kaur. So might the games be a platform to release your ideas, you know, to bring them to the masses, you know, about the social problems of our...
Oh, absolutely. I think that the game can be next great catalyst. The Dostoevsky novels, long novels, were really the place where around what the great conversation about society, about what it means to be human went on. Nobody reads these novels, but the long narratives, they moved to the... Actually, there are three main art structures in the world that work right now. One is AD&D, but it's written on the water, it disappears. The second is TV series with the long narratives, and third is video games. And this is what we do, and we do it the best. Like everything you heard the previous presentation, they want to be, we will deliver.
Will you be there to deliver?
Yeah.
Totally.
We have one more question.
So I lied, it's not a question actually. I just wanted to say amazing presentation and game, and I just would like you told so much stuff about what are you planning to do. So I just would like to wish you, you know, to try to focus and not to do any truth with No Man's Sky and not to become anything like that. Okay? Just deliver.
Actually, I tell you one thing that I skipped, but I think it's important to add that we want to give you hope that classless and just society where there is no exploitation, no fucking landlords, no struggle to get your most basic needs as a human being guaranteed is not an impossible dream, but achievable goal.
Okay, hi, I have one question. You kind of mentioned that players who tend to think of themselves as liberals or feminists or whatever in their opinions and views tend to play actually as their nightmares or their opposite political views. My question is, could you maybe implement in the beginning of the game, you try to describe yourself as, like, for example, I would believe like I'm major conservative or something like, and in the game, as the game progresses or ends finally, it will show me like, hey, you think you are like liberal, but like over here and here, you were like completely this, and your end game result was like almost as like a fascist.
You would be surprised of how much of this is already implemented, actually.
Cool.
Weird, the students don't usually have too many questions. We're gonna go now. Bye.
One last question, guys. One last question. Oh, sorry, you didn't have a question. You were filming, sorry. My bad. Do you want to ask them? No. All right, guys, let's give it up for No Truth with the Theory.